The moment you cry over him, he wins, because in his mind, your tears aren't about love, they're about power. They tell him he still has a hold on you, even when he's gone, but the truth is, most devastating blow you can give a man who didn't value you isn't your sadness. It's your silence, your strength, and your smile. Don't waste your nights drowning in pain for someone who couldn't see your worth. Break his ego by showing him you don't need him, you don't miss him, and you're better off without him. When you cry over him, you're not just releasing sadness, you're feeding his ego. In his mind, those tears become confirmation that he mattered more than he did, that he had a level of power over your emotions he didn't deserve. And for someone who couldn't value your love properly, nothing strokes his ego more than knowing he can walk away and still have you shattered. That's why the first step to breaking his ego is refusing to give him that satisfaction. Your tears are too valuable to be wasted on someone who didn't protect your heart. Think about it. Every time you break down, every time you vent to mutual friends about how much he hurt you, every time you check his social media and let yourself spiral, you're sending him an invisible message that he's still in control. Even if he never hears about your tears directly, the energy of your grief keeps him alive in your mind, and he doesn't deserve that space anymore. Love is supposed to empower you, but once love is gone, pain should not have the right to keep ruling your life. This doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel. You're human, and heartbreak is real. But there's a difference between processing your emotions in a healthy way and handing your dignity over to him in the form of tears. Cry for yourself if you must. Cry to heal, cry to release, cry in the privacy of your own safe space. But don't let those tears be about him. Don't let him become the center of your suffering. Every tear you waste on him is a tear you could be using to water your own growth. What breaks his ego isn't seeing you cry, it's realizing he doesn't have the ability to shake you anymore. It's when you carry yourself with quiet strength, when you smile even though he expected you to crumble, when you move forward with grace instead of falling apart. That's when his ego begins to fracture, because nothing unsettles a person more than realizing they've lost their power over you. The strength you show in those moments speaks louder than any angry words, louder than any begging for explanations, louder than any attempt to prove you still care. The truth is, a man who didn't value you thrives on the idea that you'll always be there, waiting, hurting, hoping. He wants to believe that no matter what he did, he left such a mark on you that you'll never recover. That belief keeps his ego inflated. So when you decide to stop crying, when you cut off the supply of emotion he feeds on, you starve his ego. You strip him of the illusion that he's unforgettable. You show him he was just a chapter, not the whole book. Strength doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you channel your pain into something higher. Instead of letting him live rent-free in your heart, you use the energy of heartbreak to rebuild yourself stronger. Go to the gym, take up a passion you've neglected, focus on your friendships, or dive into your goals. Every action you take to better your life is another crack in his ego, because it proves you're not just fine without him, you're thriving. So the next time you feel those tears welling up, ask yourself, who are these tears serving? Are they helping me heal, or are they giving him the victory of still holding power over me? You don't break his ego by falling apart. You break it by refusing to let him be the reason for your downfall. Don't feed him with your sadness, feed yourself with your strength, because nothing will shake him more than realizing the girl he thought he broke is the woman who rose without him. Anger feels powerful in the moment. It feels like fire, like proof that you still have some fight left in you. But anger, no matter how loud, still tells him he got to you. When you lash out, when you argue, when you try to prove a point, you're still feeding him with the one thing his ego craves most, your attention. And that's why indifference is far more powerful than anger. Anger says, you still matter to me. Indifference says, you no longer exist in my world. Nothing cuts deeper into a man's ego than realizing the person he once had wrapped around his finger doesn't even flinch anymore. When you're angry, you're still emotionally tied. You might tell yourself you're just venting or standing up for yourself, but anger is still engagement. It's still energy given away, and for someone who couldn't give you what you deserved, giving away your energy, even in the form of anger, is a gift he hasn't earned. That's why indifference is the true ego breaker. When he texts and you don't reply, when he tries to provoke you and you don't bite, when he checks your social media and sees you living your life without even a trace of him, that's when he feels the sting, not because you're punishing him, but because you've shown him he has no hold left. The human ego thrives on relevance. As long as he can make you react, he feels significant. It doesn't matter whether that reaction is tears, arguments, or attempts to win him back. It all tells him he still occupies space in your mind. But when you reach the point where his presence or absence makes no difference, that's when his ego collapses. Because the cruelest truth for someone who once believed they were unforgettable is to realize they're no longer even a thought. Indifference doesn't come overnight. It's a choice you have to practice. At first, your emotions will want to flare up, to respond, to prove a point. But every time you resist the urge, you strengthen your power. Silence becomes your weapon. Detachment becomes your shield. And over time, you stop having to fake it because the indifference becomes real. You genuinely stop caring what he says, what he does, or how he lives his life, because you've reclaimed your focus for yourself. There's a beauty in indifference that anger can never match. Anger burns hot and fast, but indifference is cool, calm, and devastatingly effective. Anger is loud, but indifference is silent, and silence always makes people wonder. While anger leaves him knowing you still feel something, indifference leaves him questioning if he ever mattered at all. That uncertainty eats at the ego more than any insult or outburst could. The most liberating part is that indifference isn't even about him, it's about you. It's about finally putting yourself in the center of your own life again. Instead of reacting to his behavior, you redirect your attention toward your own happiness, your own goals, your own future. You stop giving him the role of the main character in your story and reclaim that role for yourself. And when he realizes he's not just been pushed to the side, but completely removed from the narrative, his ego takes the blow. So the next time you feel the urge to argue, to prove yourself, or to show him how much he hurt you, remember this. Anger may feel satisfying in the moment, but indifference is what leaves the lasting mark. It's not about showing him fire, it's about showing him nothing, because nothing tells him louder than anything else, "You're not worth my energy anymore." And that, more than your tears or your fury, is what truly breaks his ego. Reaction is his playground. The moment you react to his games, his silence, his mixed signals, or his little provocations, you hand him the control he thrives on. He pushes a button and you light up. He disappears and you chase. He says something vague and you demand clarity. Every reaction tells him he still has the power to influence your emotions. That's exactly what feeds his ego, not the relationship itself, but the fact that long after it's over, he can still dictate how you feel. To break his ego, you have to step off that stage entirely. Stop reacting and start acting. Stop letting him set the rhythm and start dancing to your own. When you replace reaction with action, you shift the focus back to yourself. Instead of exploding when he ignores your texts, you take that energy and channel it into something productive for your life. Instead of sulking because he posts a picture with someone new, you use that moment to remind yourself to post your own joy, not for him, but because you're genuinely living. The difference is profound. A reaction is about him, an action is about you. One keeps you tied to his story, the other writes your own. He expects you to react, that's part of his game. He expects the long paragraph after he disappoints you. He expects the argument when he tries to provoke you. He expects the late-night text begging for answers. But what he doesn't expect is silence. He doesn't expect you to move on without explanation. He doesn't expect you to keep your power and refuse to play. That unpredictability is what unsettles his ego most, because it forces him to face a reality he never considered. He doesn't control you anymore. Replacing reaction with action doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means channeling it in ways that make you stronger instead of smaller. If you're angry, work out until the anger burns away. If you're sad, pour it into a creative outlet, into journaling, into building something for yourself. If you feel abandoned, surround yourself with people who make you feel loved and valued. Every action you take for yourself is a declaration that he no longer dictates your worth. The truth is, reacting only proves he still matters, but acting, building a better life, chasing your goals, investing in yourself, proves he doesn't. You're not sitting around waiting for his texts anymore. You're too busy pursuing your dreams. You're not replaying the old arguments. You're creating new experiences that fill you with joy. Every time you choose action over reaction, you're not just breaking his ego, you're strengthening your own self-respect. And here's the irony, nothing haunts someone more than seeing you unbothered. Not angry, not devastated, not desperate, just gone. Moving forward, not looking back. Your progress, your peace, your refusal to play his game is the sharpest blow his ego will ever take. Because for someone who thought they could always provoke a response, realizing they've lost that ability is crushing. So instead of giving him the drama he expects, give him the silence he can't handle. Instead of reacting to his absence, act on your freedom. Instead of proving your point to him, prove your value to yourself. Reaction keeps his ego alive, action starves it. And the moment you fully commit to that shift, he no longer holds the strings, you do, and that is where real power begins. The greatest bruise to a man's ego isn't your tears or your anger, it's your glow after he's gone. He may expect you to crumble, to fall apart, to stay stuck in the shadow of what he left behind. He may believe that without him, your light dims. But nothing dismantles his ego faster than seeing you not just survive, but thrive. Your glow becomes the living proof that he was not the source of your happiness, and in fact, your life shines brighter without his presence. Thriving after heartbreak is not about pretending you're fine. It's about genuinely rebuilding yourself in ways that make you stronger, fuller, and more alive than you were before. It's about waking up in the morning and choosing to put your energy into things that give you growth rather than wasting it replaying the past. When you chase your goals, when you nurture your body and mind, when you laugh with friends and dive into new passions, you're not just healing, you're transforming. That transformation is what catches him off guard, because his ego thrived on the idea that he was irreplaceable in your life. Seeing you glow without him cracks that illusion wide open. The glow isn't just physical, though that's often the first thing people notice. It's in your confidence, in the way you carry yourself, in the joy that radiates from someone who knows her worth again. It's in the energy that says, I am whole with or without anyone. That kind of glow can't be faked, and it certainly can't be dimmed by someone who didn't know how to appreciate it in the first place. Every smile you wear that isn't tied to him is a reminder that he no longer has the power to dictate your happiness. And here's the beautiful irony. The very moment he thought would break you becomes the moment that makes you. When he assumed you'd spiral, you chose to rise. When he thought you'd spend nights missing him, you spent them building a better version of yourself. When he expected regret, you chose reinvention. That's how his ego starts to collapse, not from your words or your revenge, but from the undeniable truth that you are better off without him. The glow also sends a deeper message. You can't be reduced to the worst thing that happened to you. Too often, people stay stuck in heartbreak because they make it their identity. They carry the pain like a badge, letting it define them. But when you choose to shine after it, you prove that the breakup was not the end of your story, only the catalyst for a brighter chapter. And that chapter is yours, not his. What bruises his ego even more is that your glow isn't about him at all. It's not about making him jealous or proving a point. It's about you reclaiming your life. He becomes irrelevant to the process, which is the ultimate insult to someone whose ego once thrived on being at the center of your world. Your happiness no longer revolves around his presence or absence. It revolves around you. That independence is what makes the glow so magnetic, because it's rooted in authenticity, not in reaction. The most powerful revenge is not showing him you can live without him. It's living so fully that he realizes he was never essential to begin with. The dinners with friends, the laughter that fills your home, the goals you crush, the adventures you take, the peace that radiates from your being, all of these are reminders that he underestimated you. He thought he was the sun in your universe, but you've proven you are your own light source. So don't waste energy trying to hurt him directly. Focus on your glow. Focus on becoming so happy, so fulfilled, and so grounded that his memory becomes irrelevant. Because nothing cuts deeper into a fragile ego than realizing the woman he once took for granted is now untouchable, not because she's out to destroy him, but because she's too busy shining to ever look back. When a relationship ends, it's easy to feel like he gets to write the story. Maybe he was the one who pulled away first. Maybe he said the final words. Maybe he made it look like he had the upper hand. That can leave you feeling powerless, like the ending is his to define, and you're left as the supporting character in a story that belonged to both of you. But here's the truth. You don't have to accept the version he tells himself or anyone else. You get to take back the pen and decide how the story ends. And that's how you break his ego, by refusing to let him have the last word over your life. When you position yourself as the victim in his story, you unknowingly feed his ego. He gets to walk away thinking you're shattered, that you'll never recover, that your world collapsed without him. That narrative keeps him powerful in his own eyes. But the moment you take control and shift the perspective, everything changes. Instead of being the one who was left, you become the one who chose freedom. Instead of being the woman who begged for love, you become the woman who walked away from anything less than what she deserved. By rewriting the story in your mind and in your actions, you reclaim the power he thought he stole. Taking back control doesn't mean you deny the pain. It means you refuse to let the pain be the final note. You acknowledge what hurt, but you also choose what you learned, how you grew, and what you'll never tolerate again. That shift reframes the ending from a tragedy into a turning point. And the moment you do that, his ego takes the blow, because the story he tells himself, that you'll always look back with longing, no longer matches your reality. The key to rewriting the ending is in how you live after him. If you spend months or years replaying the past, stalking his social media, or waiting for him to notice your absence, you're still letting him dictate the narrative. But if you step forward, if you fill your life with experiences, growth, and joy, you create a story that doesn't include him anymore. You write chapters he'll never be part of, chapters he doesn't even get access to. That's how you prove that he wasn't the climax of your life, just a plot twist that redirected you to something greater. What shatters an ego more than anything is irrelevance. If he can tell himself you're still attached, even in anger or sadness, his ego remains inflated. But when you act like he never existed, when you stop talking about him, stop thinking about him, stop defining yourself through him, he loses the illusion of being central. He becomes a footnote, not the headline, And that's the story you get to write. One where you are the main character, and he's just a lesson along the way. Taking control also means refusing to be reactive. When you no longer feel the need to justify yourself, prove him wrong, or explain why you left, you're showing that your truth stands on its own. His opinion of you doesn't matter. His version of events doesn't matter, because you've already decided your narrative. That unshakable certainty is what bruises his ego most, because it proves he has no influence left over how you see yourself. So don't let him keep the power of authorship. Don't hand over your story for him to twist and tell. Choose to be the author of your own ending, one where you are stronger, wiser, and more radiant because of what you overcame. The moment you do that, you've broken his ego in the most powerful way possible, not by fighting him, not by proving him wrong, but by living in a way that makes his version irrelevant. And nothing strips power from someone faster than realizing they no longer get to define you. The ultimate way to crush his ego isn't with words, or revenge, or proving him wrong in front of others. It's when he realizes his absence didn't break you, it freed you. Men with fragile egos thrive on the belief that they are the center of your universe, that without them you're incomplete, lost, or diminished. They want to walk away believing they left you with a wound you'll never heal from. That's how they protect their pride, by telling themselves you'll never be the same without them. But when your life not only continues but flourishes after they're gone, that's when the truth hits them. They weren't as essential as they thought. Surviving without him is one thing, but becoming better without him is another. Survival says, I made it through. Thriving says, I am greater because of it. It's in the way you rise from the heartbreak with more clarity about who you are and what you want. It's in the boundaries you now hold that you never had before. It's in the glow that radiates from someone who realized her worth isn't tied to who stays or who leaves. When he sees that strength, whether directly or indirectly, his ego takes the blow because it contradicts everything he wanted to believe. There's a quiet power in showing that you're not just okay, but actually happier, lighter, and freer without him. You don't need to announce it, post it, or rub it in his face. True power is in the silence of your transformation. He expected to see you drowning in heartbreak, waiting for closure, still clinging to memories. Instead, what he sees or hears about is someone who reclaimed her energy, someone who didn't just patch up the hole he left but built an entirely new life around it. That kind of independence dismantles his ego because it proves that he never defined you the way he thought he did. The real beauty is that proving his absence doesn't diminish you isn't about him at all. It's about you. It's about finally realizing that your worth was never dependent on his presence, that love doesn't come from someone validating you, but from you validating yourself first. When you stop seeing his exit as a loss and start seeing it as a release, you rewrite the meaning of the relationship entirely. You turn it from a source of pain into a stepping stone that carried you toward the life you were always meant to have. That reframing isn't just healing, it's liberation. And here's where his ego truly collapses, when he realizes that not only did you not need him, but that his absence gave you the space to become who you were always capable of being. He thought he was the best thing in your life, but your evolution proves otherwise. You became stronger, happier, and more fulfilled without him. That's not just survival, that's thriving. That's the kind of transformation no ego can stomach, because it forces him to face the truth that he wasn't your everything, he was just a temporary chapter. The most powerful revenge is never to show him pain, but to show him peace. When you smile without force, when you laugh without hesitation, when you carry yourself with confidence, you are silently delivering the message that his exit didn't weaken you, it unleashed you. His absence didn't define your downfall, it defined your rise. And when that truth settles in, when he realizes that he wasn't the defining factor in your happiness, that's when his ego finally shatters. Because nothing bruises a fragile ego more than the realization that it didn't matter as much as it thought it did. You don't break his ego with revenge, you break it with your refusal to give him power. Every time you stop crying, every time you stop reacting, every time you invest in yourself instead of chasing him, you send the message that his role in your story is over. And that's what truly destroys a fragile ego, the realization that you've moved on, that his absence didn't ruin you, it refined you. The greatest comeback is not proving he lost you, it's proving you found yourself. So walk forward with your head high, your heart whole, and your glow unstoppable. Don't cry over him. Let your life be the thing that breaks his ego, because nothing is louder than your silence, and nothing is more powerful than your happiness.